Okay, hi guys, welcome to your mat work class. We're going to start standing. I'm just going to adjust the screen so you can see me really well. Okay, so we're going to start standing. Oh, I've got no head. We're going to start standing with our feet just underneath our hips. Relax the shoulders down away from the ears. And just make sure you've got all of your 5 toes on the floor. And we're just gently, ever so gently, going to shift forwards and backwards. I'm not lifting the feet off of the floor. I'm just literally shifting my way into the toes and then into the heels. Keep going. I'm going to adjust that a little bit so you can perhaps see me a little bit better. So just shifting forwards and backwards. There we go. Into the toes, into the heels. I've noticed I've got one short a bit longer than the other. There we go. Okay, from there, we're going to go into some nice shoulder rolls. Inhale, lift. And exhale, lower. Inhale, lift, and exhale, lower. We're just going to go for some nice deep breaths, okay? So we inhale as we lift, and exhale as you allow those shoulder blades just to slide and glide down your back. And we're really just thinking about the mobility here. We're thinking about the joint, the shoulder blade area. We're not using the arms, okay? So you want to get that nice mobility around the shoulder girdle. Okay, just standing nice and tall. And I want you just to think about your pelvis staying nice and stacked. And we're going to do a little half roll down. So I'm going to roll just a little bit down. And then I'm going to roll back up again. I'm going to go from the crown of the head down. And then roll back up. And my pelvis, the whole time I'm doing this, is staying nice and still. So I'm not letting that pelvis collapse. Now, if your back is absolutely fine and you do not have any sort of disc impingements, protruding discs, osteoporosis, anything like that, actually, you stay with these half roll downs, okay? Otherwise, we're going to do a nice full roll down so it feels really nice on the spine. So we're going to roll from the crown of the head, we're going to go all the way down, hand at the bottom, and then roll up to the top, scooping the belly up as you go, and your head is the last thing that comes up. So we're going to breathe in, and as we breathe out, we go from the crown of the head. We're rolling down bone by bone by bone by bone. We inhale at the bottom, and then we exhale, just scoop the belly and roll up. So we're thinking about that spine moving in sequence, like a string of beads, one bone at a time, vertebrae by vertebrae, bit by bit, and incorporating that lovely breath pattern. And gently rolling up. Awesome. Okay, from there, we're just going to go into a little bit of a hinge back. Okay, so this is not a squat, this is a hinge. So think about your bottom going back. Yeah, rather than the mistake people make on this is they bend their knees and we end up getting everything sort of going forwards this way, when actually we just want to tip back. So if you start with soft knees, okay, just don't have them locked out, soften them. And then as you push your bottom back, your knees will just naturally bend. You haven't got to overthink it. Otherwise, what happens is we end up bending them. Yeah? So just think bottom back, and the knees will take care of themselves. So an indication if we're not quite getting this right is if your shins or knees hurt. Okay? If you feel it in your shins or your knees, when you want to address the technique and make sure we're going back, the spine is lengthening. The other thing to consider is what's happening in the lower back. So this bit here should stay in the same position. Another common thing where this goes wrong is we end up with this arch back. Yeah, we've got like an arch. Actually, what we want is just to keep the spine long. So no arching, just neutral, okay? Let's do one more. Awesome, okay, from there, step 1 foot forwards, okay? I'm gonna turn this way. So you're gonna step 1 foot forwards. Okay, then you're going to make sure the weight is equal between both legs. So we're not too far in the back leg or the front leg, it's right in the middle. Bring your arms in front of you, and the arm that's the same arm as the leg that's in front is going to inhale as we reach over and open the chest, and exhale, circle round. Inhale, lift and open, exhale, circle. So we're getting this very lovely opening through the chest, the arms are reaching away, and you're getting that lovely rotation of your spine, expansion through the chest, And just keep a sense of lifting. Constantly think about your spine lifting and lengthening. Very often as the arm comes down, we sort of think we've got to come down with it. And we haven't. We've got to keep lifting and reaching and opening and just feeling that incredible, gorgeous stretch in the body. Let's do one more. And then we change sides. I'll turn this way so I can carry on talking to you. Okay, so the same arm as the leg that's in front, lifts up and over. Now, with regards to the position of your pelvis, allow for natural movement, okay? We allow for natural movement. But really what we want to do is not let it collapse, yeah? So it's sort of like, imagine you've got headlights on your hip bones, pointing straight in front. You want to feel that lovely bit of mobility around the shoulder blade area. Inhale, exhale. Lovely stretch in both arms. The point here where both arms are really reaching. And let's do one more. Lovely. Okay, from there, just have the feet and knees hip width with the weight spread out evenly into the middle. We're going to do a little bit of, we're going to think about the upper mid back. So we're going to turn the palms out and then they go by our head. And then the palms come back out, we turn them in and they go to our hips. So we're there, rotate to the head. Come out, rotate to the hips. Now the movement is coming from around your shoulder blades. That's where you want to be activating from. So it's not the hands, yeah, that are doing it. And another thing where this goes wrong is sometimes what happens is we end up hunching the shoulders. So this is what we definitely want to avoid, okay? We want to think, keep the shoulder girdle nice and stable. So thinking about constantly drawing your shoulder blades into your back pockets. And I don't want to say squeeze the shoulder blades together, but it's kind of that feeling that they're sort of drawing in and connecting closer to your spine. Now, even just a very, very small movement like this, you'll feel it. Yeah, you're really going to start to feel quite a bit of a burn going on between the shoulder blades. Let's do one more. Reach, open, and last little bit, and we're there, and relax. Okay, let's just continue a little bit with this upper body stabilization. Bring your arms into the side of your body, okay? Now, your elbow needs to be by the side, not in front here, so have it right next to you. Then think about your shoulders. Watch them not hunching in. So think, I'm just going to open the collarbone and draw the shoulder blades down. I'm going to keep my elbows really close to the side of my body as I open and close. So again, we're thinking about upper back, lengthening the chest and the upper back muscles working hard and connecting in. So what you're looking for here is that we don't hunch and that we also, this is the main thing that we don't let the elbow come out like this because that's just me moving my arm away. Okay, I need to keep my elbow attached to my side. So you might have less of a range. It might be that it's here, but you'll get more out of doing a smaller range here properly than you will by doing like a little bit of a cheat like that, okay? So really think I've got to keep my arm, my elbow super glued to the side of my body, but I'm still maintaining lots of lovely length in the body. That's nice. And we're going to do one more and open and relax. Okay, we are going to come down to the mat. So come on down. I'm going to adjust the screen so you can see me better. Okay, perfect. Right, so we come down and we're going to place the feet and knees, or the feet and the knees in the same line as the pelvis. Okay. So when we're laying here, I'm just going to roll this up a little bit so you can see me better so it blends in with that so much. When we're laying here, you're going to lightly press your arms into the floor. Okay, not so much that your ribs come up, but just a bit of connection. Okay, the rib cage needs to soften down, and the shoulder blades are down, the arms are lightly pressing into the floor. Let's just gently rock the pelvis one way and the other. So I'm just allowing that pelvis to go through the posterior tilt and the anterior tilt. So posterior tilt is coming towards you where the pelvis tips back, and anterior tilt is where the pelvis tips forwards. Okay, as you're going into that posterior tilt, remember you're drawing pubic bone to belly button. So you're getting this lovely like flattening through here, this kind of scooping effect. And you can feel this gorgeous opening through your hips as you do that. So then we're going to stop in the middle and find our neutral spine. So if you make this diamond shape, index fingers by pubic bone, thumbs together. So that triangle is laying flat, okay? And underneath your lower back should be just enough room to get your fingertips. If you can get a whole hand under, it's too much, okay? So you want just enough room for fingertips, and that's neutral spine. So now we've established that neutral spine. Put your thumbs on your bottom of your ribs and middle finger on your hip bone. Think about that space there and maintain that space between the thumb and the middle finger, ribs and hips, okay? And breathe in and out, and notice when you're breathing in and out that that space doesn't change. You'll notice when you breathe in, the ribs wider, which they should do. We want them to laterally move. When you're breathing out, that's when you want to think about maintaining that shape and not changing it. If it gets smaller, it means we've moved the back. Okay, so we keep that space the same. But you do want, as you're breathing in, for the ribs to widen. What we really want to avoid is the ribs to come up like this when we breathe in, okay? So we established the neutral spine. We've got that lovely breathing. We've got that lovely feeling here. We're connected. We're going to keep connection, and we're going to let one leg float up to tabletop. We're going to stretch that leg out straight. We're going to bend it back in and place it down. Other side. Lift, extend, bring it back and down. Now, if we're doing this move and we're not thinking about connections, it's easy, because we can easily go, oh, I can lift my leg up, put it out there, bring it back. But I've got no stability. I'm just moving the leg. Now I'm going to think, right, I've got a cup of coffee here that I don't want to spill. I've got a little biscuit underneath my back that can't get squished. Nothing can move as I'm moving the leg. So it's all about the stability of the pelvic girdle. That's what's really important here. That's what we're focusing on. That stillness, that stability. So actually, if you do this right, it goes from something that's like, oh, that's easy, I'm just moving my leg, to actually, oh, that's actually really challenging, because now I've got to really concentrate. I've got to focus on my tummy flattening, not pushing out, not sucking in, but what we don't want is the belly to sort of push out slightly as the leg comes up. You're going to think as well about your sacrum. That's the big triangular bone right at the bottom of your spine. If you can feel that your sacrum is moving around, then we're not stabilizing. It means the pelvis is moving. So if your sacrum is nice and steady and still, like a paperweight pulling down and staying nice and still, then we've got stability. Okay. You've noticed I've got my hands on my fingertips. And the reason my fingertips on my hips even, and the reason I'm doing that is so I can feel if there's any rotation of the spine, of the pelvis, okay? I can feel it, oh, if it's sort of dropping a little bit. So I'm feeling with that when this leg goes out, oh, has my pelvis tipped a little bit like that, yeah? Let's do one more on each side, thinking about that space between the ribs and the hips staying the same. And you should feel this low panel now actually working quite hard. Okay, make sure the feet are back at hip width, arms down, engage the shoulder girdle. We're going to go for a hip bridge, so not a full shoulder bridge, just a hip bridge. Inhale, prepare, exhale, roll the pubic bone to belly button. We're going to go halfway up and stop, just halfway, okay? Inhale, stay, and to exhale to come down, you're going to draw the waistline first, pulling through here, and then you get that curve of the spine as we roll out of the sequence. Breathe in, prepare, breathe out, roll to the tip of the sacrum, halfway up. Inhale, stay. Exhale, draw the waistline in like you're tightening a belt. And then really try and articulate through the lumbar as you're coming down. Let's keep that going, guys. So I'm going for this 4-breath pattern. Okay, we breathe in, prepare. Breathe out to roll up. Breathe in at the top. And breathe out to roll down. Just halfway. Just want you to focus on that mobility of that lower part of your back. So the lumbar spine gets ever so jammed just from sitting or standing. Yeah, that the disc can get quite squished down the bottom there. So this is just giving us a little bit of freedom and mobility. What else it's doing is it's really getting our glutes to work. So we don't squeeze our bottom straight away, but the minute we start to roll off when we get to about here, that's when we squeeze and use the glutes to lift. Then we're pulling in through the waistline to come down and relax the glutes once you get to the bottom. Think about your inner thighs as well. Imagine you are holding something between them. Sometimes when we overly use the glutes, the knees want to go out like that, and then that gives us bad form. So we want everything in alignment. Let's just do one more. Okay, awesome. From there, bring the knees and feet together. Keep your arms down by your sides. You're going to take your knees across to one side, stop. Just hold it there for a second. Notice that you've got 2 feet together as if they're both in one sock. And as the knees are going across one way, think about your rib cage softening down. Yeah, we see this a lot with hyperextension, and that can happen when the knees go across. Actually, what you want is the rib cage to soften down into the mat. So you're only going to go as far across with the knees as you can keep the rib cage down. Then you bring the legs back to the center. So again, we go the other way and back to the center. Exhale across and inhale center. Just keep that going nice and fluid. Yeah, soften those ribs. It's like somebody just got their hands and just gently wrapped them down onto your ribs, so the ribs just soften into the mat. As you bring the legs back to the center, use the bottom leg to lightly press towards the top leg. So get that little connection of the bottom leg press into the top leg. Then we're thinking about our adductors. And remember, our adductors are very instrumental with working with the pelvic floor. So we want to be conscious of those muscles and working through them. Let's just do one more on each side. You should feel like you're getting this awesome and gorgeous mobilization of the spine, that lovely stretch of the spine. Okay, from there, bring the feet and knees back to hip width. We're going to go for an ab prep. So we're going to inhale, head nod. Exhale, come up into flexion. And check for a moment that we're in flexion. So what needs to happen is your shoulder blades are off the floor. But what we don't want to do is bunch up. So the rib cage is down, so I'm stretching here, but my shoulder blades are off and I'm looking between the legs. What I don't want to do is have my neck there in a very sort of vulnerable position where I'm putting a lot of strain on my neck. If I lightly pull my armpits down, it helps take the pressure off of the neck and I'm much more supported. So let's keep that going. Inhale, head nod, exhale, come up. Inhale, stay, exhale, come down. You notice my arms are just basically skimming the floor. Yeah, I'm not trying to pull my arms like up as I come up because that would take me into like a bunchy effect. Actually, what I want is just stay low, like I'm trying to just reach for my heels. Yeah, so you're thinking about your tummy muscles flattening in. We're going to go for the Pilates 100s now. So we're going to come up and we're going to stay here. Pull the tummy in, relax the shoulders down and start to beat the arms. Now notice I'm going quite big with that arm movement. I'm not down here. It's quite big, but I'm going to keep my body really still against the movement. So nothing else is moving. Breathe in, 2, 3, 4, 5. Breathe out, 2, 3, 4, 5. Keep breathing, guys. If the 5 little breaths doesn't quite work for you, just breathe in and out. And you're keeping that neutral spine. So remember, cup of coffee on pubic bone, little gap underneath the lower back, there's enough to get a biscuit. Keep reaching the arms forward and make sure we haven't fallen back like this. We're up, we are looking through the legs and we're drawing the tummy in. Stay and roll down. Amazing. Okay, roll over onto your tummy. We're going to go for some back extension. Okay, so let's go one hand on top of the other and put your forehead on your hands. Your legs are going to be in parallel, so they're very strong legs, reaching behind you, but not overly pointing the toes because then that'll give you cramp. Make sure you're not propped up like this. Yeah, you want to be armpits flat down, forehead on your hands. Draw the shoulders away from the ears. Pull your lower tummy in. You're going to very gently lift, and my eye gaze is going just past my hands, and then I'm coming down. But I really want to think about it just being my eyes that are moving rather than my whole head. Because sometimes what happens is we come up and we do that, and you can see that's crushed my neck. So actually what I want is as I'm coming up, I'm drawing my shoulders away from my ears as I direct my eye gaze slightly over the mat. But that's it, just the eye gaze. Now keep lifting through your lower abdominals. So you want your lower abdominals to feel as if they're gently lifting off of the mat. Let's add a breath pattern. Let's do an inhale as we lift, okay? Inhale, lift, and exhale, lower. Inhale, lift and reach away. I'm going to sneeze, exhale, lower. Excuse me. Hay fever's making a comeback this year. And again, inhale, lift, and exhale, lower. Brilliant. Okay, let's work a bit stronger now and get more connection, more length in the spine. We're going to go into the dart. Okay, you're going to start with your palms facing up. Your forehead's going to be on the floor. Your legs are straight behind you. Okay, as you start to lift, obviously engage the core, draw the tummy in. Lift the chest, rotate the arms, the palms of your hands face your body. Reach your fingertips towards your ankles, and you're making this long dart going through the air. So what we're not doing is we do not want to go hyperextending up. We just want to keep it really long, and then we lower down. So we're going to inhale, open the collarbone, reach the arms back as if you're trying to touch your toes with your fingertips and come down. Now, if you are a bit restricted and you find that your elbows are bending like this and you can't straighten them, you take them wider, but you still reach back. But they're just a little bit wider, and then you can get that lovely stretch going on. Okay? So it's like widen through the collarbone, bring the shoulder blades slightly together and think, am I a straight line going through the air? Am I lifting my tummy? Is everything switched on? So you're creating this beautiful long line between the crown of the head and the toes. We're going to do a couple more. Remember to breathe, guys. Breathing is super important here. Do not hold your breath. We do not want it to turn into a strain. We're going to do one more. And lift and reach, 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 reach. And relax. Okay. Come back into a shell stretch, because that's going to release all the intervertebral pressure that builds up when we're doing spine extension work. And just let your forehead rest on the floor. And we're just gently rocking side to side. Nice and easy. Okay, awesome. So we're going to sit up on our bottoms, okay? And you want to have your sit bones right underneath you. Okay, so I've got my sit bones, my knees and my feet all in the same alignment. If you don't have a lot of flexibility in your feet, it's okay if the toes come up, but you do want to keep the heels on the floor when we're doing this. What's really important here is you want to use those postural muscles. We want to sit up tall. We don't want to be slumped. Okay, this feels easy and it's comfortable because we're used to doing this. We're not used to doing that, so those muscles are going, oh, you're making me work now. And that's what can feel a bit like, oh, actually, even just sitting like this, it's an effort. Yeah. So you want to make sure your lumbar spine is nice and vertical. We're not slumped, we're vertical to begin with. Then what's going to happen? We're going to take our arms forwards. We're going to roll away and come back up. So same as when we did our hip bridge earlier. I'm going pubic bone to belly button and rolling away and then coming back up. Absolutely do not squeeze your bottom. Okay, that's important here. We just want to get some mobility going. So 2 things to consider. 1 is we mustn't lean. 2, we're not collapsing. Okay, we're lifting. Pubic bone lifts towards the belly button. Get the connection going on there. If you get that, then you've got an opening through the hips and a flat. And you've got a curve of your spine. So the other thing to think about is, imagine there's a piece of string going up like that, piece of rope going over. As I'm going back this way, that piece of rope's going that way. So I'm not physically like trying to round my shoulders down, but I'm getting that feeling that I'm fully curling the spine. If it feels good, start to go a little bit further, but only do it if it feels good to do that. It shouldn't feel like any sort of great effort, okay? Less is always more when it comes to Pilates, okay? So if you're kind of getting to here and it's like, I can do it, but chances are we're doing it wrong, okay? And then we're actually probably going to do more damage. So always less is more. It feels like it's an effort. Even there might be enough. If we're not getting that feeling here, just on this bit, then stay on the lower range, okay? Really focus on getting that little connection down here. Okay, we're going to go all the way down this time, so you might really come forward, because we're going to roll all the way down and stay there. Okay, bring your arms down by the side of the body. Bring the knees and feet hip width apart, and take one leg up to tabletop. Okay, we're going to do some hip circles. So the movement's going to come from the top of the femur, not the knee or the foot. So I'm going to move my leg round in a circle. 1, stop. 2, stop. You can see that the angle at my knee hasn't changed. So what I'm not doing is pushing like the leg forwards, yeah? It's just coming from the top of the femur. And I'm just moving that femur around in the hip and ball socket. So I'm creating freedom in my hips. And what I'm doing is I'm lubricating. I'm lubricating the deep hip and ball socket, okay? Change direction, round we go. Now the other thing, the really important thing, is that we're stabilizing. So think about what the other leg is doing. Is it moving around? Bring it back to that focus on your sacrum again. If you can feel your sacrum moving, we might not have complete stability. So this movement is small, but it's a lot to think about. Okay, and if your hips are weak, yeah, you're going to be feeling like it's aching a little bit there. But we are providing, we're bringing some freedom to those hips, we're making them work. Place that foot down, awesome. Make sure both feet are in line with the knees and the sit bones, lift the other leg. And circle 1, stop. 2, stop. So also, you notice I'm moving that leg, it's almost like a square, yeah? I can't see my foot. As it's going around, I can't see the foot. If I can see the foot, it means I've sort of turned the knee out like this, which I don't want to do. I want to just move around the hip and ball socket. Yeah, that's good. Relax the rib cage down. Relax the ribs. Think about shoulder girdle stabilizing. Then we change direction. Think as well, guys, about your head position. When we're laying on the floor, really important we're not tipping our head back like this. You need to be looking at the ceiling in front of you, not the ceiling behind you. If you find that's really difficult and your neck is really overextended, put a little bit of something underneath your head, like a little, just a thin cushion. Not a great big one, because you don't want to be propped up over flexed either. Just enough to bring your head into alignment. Okay, place that foot down. Awesome. We're going to go for a shoulder bridge now. We did a hip bridge before. This time we're going to go all the way to the top. Inhale, and then exhale, roll up, and lift. And you're pressing your knees away from your head. Now, 2 things to think about. 1, or a couple of things actually. 1, make sure you're not pushing through the back, yeah? Often we get this and we're trying to get high by pushing the back up. actually the ribs have to come down, squeeze the bottom, so pelvis is higher than ribs. Knees are together. Then you're going to scoop the belly and roll in sequence to let the tailbone come out last. Okay, let's keep going. It's sort of like you're pressing your knees away, but I really want you to think about what your knees are doing and make sure they're not flaring out to the side. Now can you start to think about your shoulder girdle? Make sure you're using those muscles, lightly pressing your arms into the floor to give you that connection. Think about what the feet are doing. Yeah, make sure we're not doing anything weird with the feet, like sometimes we go scrunchy or we end up lifting our toes or doing things like that, or sometimes we go onto like one part of the foot more than the other. So just want the weight nice and even. Now, if you feel that rolling up and rolling down is enough for you at this point, I want you just to carry on doing that, okay? Otherwise, we're going to progress to the next level. You're going to stay at the top. You're going to make sure your pelvis doesn't move. Nothing's going to change. So you've really got to focus and stabilize as you lift one leg. You really feel this glute switching on, right? Then you place it down. Then control, lift the other leg. Place it down and then roll down. So that's our new sequence. We're going to roll it up and stay. Stabilizing shoulder girdle. Float one leg above the hip. Place it down. Float the other leg above the hip. Place it down and then roll down through the spine. So your glutes should be on fire. You have to really feel, you can really feel that glute having to work to stabilize you there. What's really important is that we don't let the back or the hips sink as we lift the leg. And if you find that that actually, if you want to take it a bit further, but that's too much, you could actually regress it and you could just lift one heel at a time, and that's a lower option that's somewhere in between the two. However, I am now going to progress this again. So, coming up, we lift one leg and we keep it there. We're going to tap it down 3 times. 1, lift, 2, lift, really think about this stabilizing side. 3, lift, place it down, change legs. Use your shoulder girdle, press those arms into the floor, squeeze your bottom, engage your core, place it down and roll down through the spine. Amazing. Okay, guys, well done. We're going to just hug the legs in, okay, and just come up slightly and just start to rock. Now, I'm not actually really trying to do anything here. So what we don't want to do is think, well, I've got to use my legs, my body and push like this. Actually, I'm just holding it and imagine that you are an actual ball. You're not trying to move, it's just kind of what's happening. So it's all coming from your core. You can see the difference between this, where actually the actual shape of me hasn't changed. And then this, we get a lot. This is what tends to happen when we're trying to move it. Just connect through your center. If you connect through your center, you'll move and roll like a ball. Okay, so see if you can start to, and now we do use a little bit of momentum to come to the top. Get to the top. Whoops. If you didn't quite make it there, just sit up. We're going to go into rolling like a ball. So you're going to hold down at your ankles. I like to cross and really lock in. Traditionally, it's here, with your forehead and your knees, and you've locked your wrist. But that can be quite hard to achieve. You could just put one hand on each leg like this, okay? So your toes come off of the floor, all right? You relax your shoulders and you're going to draw your tummy in. Keep looking at your knees. So the lower part of your back needs to be curved because you've got to roll onto it. So we mustn't do this with a flat back. So you're going to go bottom to ceiling, head to ceiling. Bottom to ceiling, head to ceiling. And you just want to keep your feet off of the floor all the time. And you take a little pause at the top. This is all about core control. That's what's going on here. You've got to really relax your shoulders, and there's got to be a certain amount of softness to this. You can't do it with tension. You've got to relax into it. Keep looking at your knees though. Make sure you don't lose that eye gaze. Otherwise what happens is we end up sort of throwing the head back and giving ourselves like a whiplash effect. So the idea is the actual shape that you start in stays the same all the way. Make sure, guys, that you don't go onto your neck, okay? Only go as far as the shoulder blades. We're going to do one more, and then we're going to come down, and that's going to take us into one leg stretch. So we're going to hold one knee, and the other leg stretches out straight. Draw the shoulders down. Now, if I'm pulling my shoulder blades down away from my ears, I've got connection, right? So I never want to be up here. My elbows are sort of out there, the shoulder blades are down, and that's going to help with the connection. I'm thinking about that bottom leg stretching long. I'm flattening in my tummy, and I've got my rib cage on the floor. Okay, then I'm going to change. Okay, then I'm going to change. An option for this could be head on the floor if you need something a little bit easier, and I just take the leg up to the ceiling and I hold one knee, okay? And that's absolutely fine to do that if you need to go there, okay? Otherwise, we're going to go into that single leg stretch with a little bit of speed. But it's really controlled. I'm pulling my knee into my chest, but I'm doing it with fluidity. I'm not doing this, yeah? I'm thinking control. And what I'm really focusing on is how long that leg is moving away from me. I'm flattening my tummy, I'm keeping my rib cage down, and I'm avoiding the urge to want to come right up like this and pull into the leg. So rib cage off, rib cage on the floor, shoulder blades off. In 4, in 3, in 2, in 1, hold and relax. Awesome. Okay, come on to side lying. So make a nice straight line from fingertip to toe, okay? One hand in front of you. Now, sometimes that can be a little bit painful on the neck. So what you can do is you can grab a little pillow, a little cushion, and just place it between your head and your arm. If it still feels really difficult to have your arm like this, you could put your arm there, and that's an option as well. Or sometimes people like to do that, okay? Okay, but then you want to make sure that you are in a straight line. If you've got a mat, it's always a good idea to go to the back of it, and you know you're in a straight line. Because sometimes it's hard to get, we feel like we're in a straight line, but we might not be. So just do the little check. Now, if I'm looking down, I need to be able to see my feet. So if I can't see them, it means my back's pulled them back there. So I've got to be able to see the feet. I don't mean like move them up like this. Actually move the legs a little bit so I can just about see them. Okay, and then the hips are nice and stacked. From there, I'm going to get you guys just to bend the bottom leg slightly. Keep the top leg lifted and stabilize your shoulder girdle. You're going to dorsiflex the ankle, kick forwards, and then you're going to point and take the leg back. This is leg kick. Kick and back. Now, here's what needs to happen. The pelvis must stabilize, okay? So, don't come too far forwards because this must stay still. If you're coming too far forwards, the pelvis will curl under. And then if you go too far back, you'll back arch. What we don't want is this, swinging. We're going to keep the pelvis exactly in position, okay? If you're doing it right, it's actually quite a challenge. Okay, so you're going to go forwards, dorsiflex, plantar flex back. When the leg goes back, squeeze your bottom. And you're constantly thinking about that low panel here, pulling in, nice and flat. Keep your leg on the same gravital plane, okay? It doesn't go any higher and it doesn't go any lower as it moves forwards and back. And bring the legs together, well done. Okay, hold them there, lengthen them away from you. So make sure you can see the feet, lift the top leg, engage the shoulder girdle, reach that leg away from you so it's not collapsing in, it's pressing away, then you've got this little gap under here that you can just get a piece of paper. You're going to maintain that gap as you circle the leg 10 times in one direction. Okay, and make sure we use all of the space to make a circle. Sometimes what happens is we just sort of do them in the front. We've got to go all the way to the back as well as the front. But again, that pelvis cannot move. It has to stay really still. So when you've done 10 in one direction, we're going to change and go the other way. Making a lovely circle all the way around. Relax your shoulder. Reach that leg away from your head. So it's that constant feeling of the leg being pulled away from your head. That's the feeling that we want to have. So we've got this space under here. We're stacked in the pelvis. We want to really be feeling that in the hip stabilizers right now. When you've done 10, hold and relax. Oh, amazing. Right, lay back and just take a little stretch out of that leg. Okay, it's always the opposite arm to the leg, not the same one, the opposite one. Okay. Oh, right, we're going to go round to the other side. Okay, so we make that nice straight line. Okay, coming up. Just check we're in a straight line, look down, make sure you can just about see the feet. And then you're going to bend the bottom leg in, lift the top leg, dorsiflex forwards, plantar flex back. Now you'll be able to tell, I can tell straight away, this side is so much easier to me. So it's really good always doing the single side work because you're always going to have a more favourite side. So doing the single side work highlights your weaker side, and then you know how you need to work. And even when I'm now doing double-legged work, I'm conscious that I know what side my weaker side is, and I try not to let that strong side really dominate. Okay, I don't really know anyone that's completely 100% symmetrical, but that is what we are trying to achieve, symmetry in the body. So we're just keeping that pelvis stable. It's not going forwards, it's not going back. Really, as your legs go behind you, squeeze your bottom to stop the back going into extension. And then again, with the arm in front of you, remember it's there to give you a bit of feedback on what's going on with the shoulder girdle. So we don't want to like sort of start leaning into it. Sometimes we concentrate on one part of the body, another bit goes. And actually it's a movement system. Everything is connected. We're getting some nice ankle movement going on here as well. So this is really nice. Getting that mobility through the ankle. And as the leg goes back, you're getting this hip really getting a nice stretch. And the core, obviously, is working super hard to stabilize against the movement. Okay, bring the legs together. Check you can see your feet. And then lengthen the legs long. If I don't lengthen the legs, I'm sort of collapsed here. So I want to stretch them away. Imagine the top leg is slightly longer than the bottom one. Then you get this nice lift through here. Yeah. So you're going to lift the leg, and then we start to do our circles. 10 in one direction. And as you're doing it, think about the position of where your head is, where your shoulders are. Is this bit pulling in here? Are we staying still in the pelvis? Can that leg reach longer? Nice and easy, nice and fluid. 10 of these bad boys. And then we change direction. Okay, reaching the leg away. Good. Feel those hip stabilizers really working hard. Sometimes if they're quite weak, they're weak muscles, they fatigue very quickly. And sometimes we think we've got cramp. It's not cramp. Usually it's not cramp, it's just muscle fatigue, but it feels like that. Okay. Okay, when you've done 10, relax, and then just stretch it out. And that feels nice. It's so worth it, isn't it? When you get to that bit, it's like, oh, that feels good. Okay, we're going to come up to full point kneeling. So, place your hands underneath your shoulders and your knees underneath your hips. I'm going to just take this off actually because I want you to see the back moving. All right, so we're here. What's going to happen is we're going to scoop up through the pubic bone. We're going to lift up into a big high arch. So I'm going to look in towards my tummy, but I'm really, really, really lifted. Then I'm going to go tailbone away and chest follows. Okay, but I'm up. I'm really up. I'm never going to go down here. I'm lifting. So when I go into that rounded spine, my head must follow, but I find a lot of the time what people do is they come down with their head like this. So you want your head to look in, but literally look in. I'm still lifting up. Everything's pulling up to the ceiling. So trying to go as high as I possibly can. And then when I go out to flat back, I'm also staying very, very high. And the shoulders pull away from the ears. Let's move between the two. And a couple more. Really stretch it up as high as you can. Lovely. Let's do one more, guys. And lift, 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 lift. And out we go. Amazing. Okay, well done. From there, remember, don't sink. Lift. Press away from the floor. Shoulders away from ears. Make sure your tummy is pulling in. If your back sinks like this, you can't correct that by moving your back. You have to pull your tummy in. I'll show you what I mean. So this is me just moving my back. Okay, and I've gone into like a bit of a weird position. If I instead draw the tummy muscles in, and I'm just pulling in from the front, I'm pulling in and pulling in and pulling in. I'm only thinking about the front connection. All of a sudden, I'm in a flat back. Yeah, and I didn't do it by using my back to get there. Okay, so from here, shoulder girdle engaged, push into your little pinky. Imagine you're opening jam jars with your hands. Keep that feeling. You're going to bend your elbows towards your knees and lift back up again. Bend the elbows towards the knees and lift back up. So I'm keeping my neck in the same position. It doesn't move. Make sure we don't do this. Okay, don't think, right, I've got to go down like that with my head. Head doesn't move. Head does not move. It's just bending into the elbows. So you're stabilizing your shoulder girdle as those arms are going back and down. You're still drawing in through your core. So really, everything is stabilizing. You're just bending the elbows, but nothing else moves. Nothing else moves. The only thing that's moving is the elbow. And you want to feel this in your posterior chain. So you should feel this in your triceps. You should feel it in your upper mid back. And obviously we're working through that, those lower abdominals to pull in. Let's do one more. And then just sit back into a bit of a shell stretch. Let your forehead rest on the floor. There is something very stress relieving about having the forehead just rest on the floor there. That is lovely. Okay, come on up and we're going to go, adjust again. We're going to go into a lovely mermaid. So if you can, go knees together and hold onto your ankle. If that is too difficult, do this. And if you can't do that either, you could sit on a chair for this, okay? And that's fine as well. And you could just do some side stretches on a chair. So hold on to your ankle. The arm is going to go into the air and just lift through the side ribs. So you want to get this opening. Remember, when I'm reaching, I'm not using my shoulders and my arm to push. It's coming from here. I'm reaching up and opening the side rib. Okay, so from there, I'm going to come down. Elbow goes onto the mat and I stretch over. As we come up, we're going to use our core. We're not going to push off of this arm. We're going to use our core to lift us back up. And then again, reach it up, open through the ribs, keep extending away. And then we come back down. And lift and open. Okay, let's try the other side. So, knees together, ankles together. Lift the arm up to the ceiling, open through the side ribs. Keep lifting, keep lifting, keep lifting, keep lifting. Remember, we're never going down. We're always going up. We're creating space. We're reaching, we're lengthening. We're nourishing the body. Over we go. Elbow down. And then again, think about the arm position, the shoulder. Watch me not here. Yeah. So use this muscle under here, serratus anterior. Pull in. So we're connected. Lift and reach. And extend, 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 extend. You can't see my hand, but it's right up to the ceiling. And then over we go, elbow down, reach it away long. And lift using the core up. And relax. Well done, that was awesome. Just cross the legs if that feels comfortable. If it doesn't, again, standing or kneeling is an option. What is quite nice actually is soles of feet together, like a little butterfly, and just get a bit more of a stretch there. If that feels good, just do that and just take a couple of breaths in now. Just feel the ribcage expand as you inhale. And as you exhale, feel it gently wrap in. And one more. And well done. Thank you very much. I hope you enjoyed that. And I will see you on the next one.